Andrea Ferro, Civil Environmental Engineering. So I'm an environmental engineer. So environmental engineering, I have civil and environmental engineers in my classes. Most of the classes that they would take are standard environmental engineering for upper level classes. For lower level, engineering is similar. Doesn't matter which type of engineering you're taking, the basic engineering classes for ABET accreditation. So math, science, so the science being physics and chemistry, background, statics, strengths of materials, all those engineering classes that build their skills so that they can take the upper level classes in their discipline. Environmental engineers are hired in many different careers. Most go into consulting, so they'll work for an environmental consulting firm. There's also, they might work for industry in the environmental group that, alongside the industrial hygienists and safety, so there's usually an environmental group. So addressing any issues with the company that the company might have. Also for government, so environmental engineers work in EPA or the Department of Environmental Conservation. So state and federal government, county. Environmental engineers are the town engineers. So if you think about what a town engineer does, they deal with the water treatment plant, the wastewater treatment plant, the solid waste, all those environmental issues. So typically the town engineer is an environmental engineer. Also nonprofits. So you can think of environmental nonprofits that often have environmental scientists and engineers for the technical side, working alongside the lawyers and policy folks. What else? Research. So there's lots of environmental research. You can think about climate change or other big issues that require us to build our scientific knowledge, and so that's another area of work. I'm not sure a lot of people know what environmental engineers do. The field started with water and wastewater treatment, but it's much broader than that now. Now environmental engineers work in air pollution. That's my field. Solid waste or hazardous waste remediation. Also energy, so clean energy solutions. There's another area of environmental engineering called industrial ecology, where you're looking at maybe life cycle assessment for different choices. How do we think about the resource that's used for a particular product, say, and how it's disposed, and try to limit the impacts on the environment and on our natural resources. Many of our students study abroad. So we have students study abroad in programs that are non-technical or technical. So they can save some of their general education requirements for that study abroad experience, or they can go to a school that has engineering and take their engineering courses. So many of my students study abroad. We also have the Adirondack Semester at Clarkson, so many of my students do that. So it's a semester where they live in the Adirondacks and they take environmental courses. There's a integrated research project where they look at environmental, economic, and social implications of a particular project, and they spend a semester learning about that project and taking other courses as well. We have a strong environmental engineering group, and our students are very active here on campus as well as nationally. We have chapters for the New York Water Environment Association that the students are very active in. We have chapters for other organizations as well. So there's a lot of environmental research going on campus, and we have projects like our on-campus anaerobic digester, where the food waste from food service is used to generate biogas that then can be used. And we have a greenhouse that is also a research opportunity to see how you can grow crops in the winter. And so that's just a couple of areas where students can get involved with the hands-on activities in environmental engineering. In environmental engineering, we have about 30 to 40 students per class, so that's 120 students on campus that are in this field. So we know a lot of the students. There are academic advisees, so we get to know them the first year, and we have the same advisees for 4 years. And they're in our classes. They might work with us on research projects. Our doors are always open. I would say we get to know the students really well, and I hear from them later. So just this week I heard from an alum who talked about her preparation for her field and how they have a really strong network, and they're really grateful for their education here. I study air pollution, so specifically I look at airborne particles and how they transport through the air and how people are exposed to pollutants that are in particle form in the air. So examples of that are like the flu virus. Once it gets emitted into the air, how it is then transported across a room. And the droplets, as they transport, shrink if the relative humidity is low in the room. So things like that. So my area is airborne particles. I mentioned a couple of hands-on learning opportunities on campus. So we've got the anaerobic digester, the greenhouse. There are other projects as well. We have a speed team. The senior design often is a competition, so we have funding from the Environmental Protection Agency to work on sustainability-oriented projects, and so we've done those kind of projects multiple times, and then the students go and compete against other universities in Washington, D.C. Clarkson Engineering is a great place to study engineering because of our hands-on activities. We have a very strong design build program, and in environmental engineering in particular, we have projects that the students can jump onto as undergraduates, working alongside graduate students and faculty. For example, we have an anaerobic digester and greenhouse. There are other projects, so we work with the town for their wastewater treatment facility and pilot plants. We've got a project for remediating hazardous algal blooms, which is a big issue right now in the state and other places in the country. Also pollutants that are of concern, how we destroy those pollutants that are difficult to remove in water sources.